In today's episode, we are in Taiwan to explore some of the best seafood this country has to offer. From a gigantic live lobster that you can share with your whole family to Taiwan's largest and most luxurious fish market. You don't want to miss this one. Let's go! Like always, I got a good feeling about this one. Let's go check it out. We flew all the way to Taiwan just to check this place out. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. This is a famous lobster restaurant in Taipei. They have locations all over the island, but this location is special because they actually have tanks where you can pick out your own live lobster, and they're not your average lobsters. These guys are huge. So this is how the experience goes. You show up, you pick your own lobster, they cook it right there on the spot, and then you enjoy the fruits of your labor. So obviously, I picked the biggest one I could find. This thing was so big that they had to bring out 2 plates just to fit it all on. This beast weighs around 4 pounds. It took 2 people to carry it. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from a lobster. I mean, I've tried them before, but they were nothing to write home about. But I'll be damned. This lobster completely changed my mind. The meat was extremely tender. It literally fell apart as soon as I touched it. It was also incredibly flavorful and juicy, probably because they cooked it to perfection and it was so fresh. I loved it. As an appetizer, they also brought out a platter of abalone and sea urchin. Now, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of sea urchin, but the abalone was some of the best I've ever had. Normally, when you open up an abalone, it has this slimy texture and kind of a fishy smell to it. But at this restaurant, they must do something to it because it was soft, supple, and savory. As a side dish, they also brought out some crispy garlic chips, which were addictive. To say the least, this was definitely one of the best meals I've had in a while. I highly recommend checking out this restaurant if you're ever in Taiwan. But our adventure doesn't end here. We still have one more stop left. Next, we headed to one of the largest and most luxurious fish markets in the entire country. The fish market is called, and it's been around since 1956. In the past 5 decades, it's become one of the most popular tourist destinations in Taipei. Every year, it attracts over 1 million visitors. The market features everything you can think of, from dry goods to fresh produce, meats and seafood. However, what the market is really known for is its massive selection of live seafood. There are hundreds of different kinds of fish and other aquatic animals sold here every single day. The entire market has a very nice vibe to it. It's clean, well organized, and decorated beautifully. And although it's a busy marketplace, somehow it never feels overly crowded. Walking through the market, you will see all kinds of exotic seafood you've probably never seen before, including giant hairy crabs, blue swimming crabs, flat clams, and more. Of course, you will also see some familiar faces like these sweet little fish cakes. Along with all this wonderful seafood, you'll also hear the vendors shouting and competing with each other to try to get your business. That's all part of the fun too. After walking around for a bit, we finally made our way to the entrance of the market. Right away, you'll notice 3 things. First off, the giant archway. It says, "Welcome to the fish market." Secondly, the massive amount of fish hanging from above. And third, all the crazy crowds everywhere. As soon as you enter the market, you'll be overwhelmed by all the smells and sounds of freshly caught seafood. Here, you can buy anything from dried seafood snacks to the freshest sashimi around. You can also grab a nice Taiwanese lunch, like the sweet pork chop with rice or some delicious dumplings. Once you pass through the main hall, you'll arrive at the main attraction, the live seafood area. This is where you'll find all kinds of fish, crabs, shrimp, and other aquatic animals. Many of the tanks are set up with artificial coral reefs and plants to give the fish a more natural environment. All the fish here are super fresh and healthy. The tanks are meticulously cleaned and maintained. Vendors will often dive into the tanks themselves to collect fish for customers. And if you're lucky, you might even see a vendor feed the fish. Walking around the market, I saw a lot of interesting things. For example, I saw a guy picking out a baby shark to take home and cook. I also saw a vendor gutting and cleaning a fish in record time. Another thing that stood out to me was the variety of seafood here. You could get a small fish for as low as $1 or a large grouper for $100. There's something here for everyone, no matter what your budget may be. Overall, I'm extremely happy with my first trip to Taipei's fish market. I can see why it's considered one of the best seafood markets in the entire country. If you're ever in Taiwan, I highly recommend checking it out. Next, we went to one of the best restaurants in town to show off their amazing seafood. And trust me, they did not disappoint. First, they brought out a tower of fresh oysters. This was insane. I have never seen anything like this before. The oysters were served on crushed ice with a sprinkle of salt. These were so delicious. I slurped them down. The taste of the ocean was incredible. Then they brought out a feast. This included boiled crab, abalone, minced crab, shrimp paste, grilled fish, and more. But the one thing that stood out to me was this amazing seafood spread. It was made with a combination of chopped hard-boiled egg, scallion, pickled onions, cilantro, and crispy garlic. It was then plated in such an elegant way, and once I tasted it, I was hooked. I've never had anything like it before. The flavors were intense. It had a nice balance between salty, sour, and savory. Overall, it was just incredibly tasty. They also brought out some crispy garlic chips to enjoy alongside the meal. These were so addictive. They were perfectly golden hued and topped with a generous amount of salt. It crunched and crackled in my mouth. The pairing was perfect. It added a nice contrast in textures and flavors. Next, I tried a dish called abalone porridge. This was a comforting and nutritious soup made with soft minced abalone, chewy shiitake mushrooms, green onion, and cilantro. It was garnished with a swirl of sesame oil and a sprinkle of toasted garlic chips. Abalone is normally a pretty tough ingredient to work with since it requires a long cooking time. But here it was so easy to eat and it was incredibly flavorful. And last but not least, they brought out a sizzling hot pot of clam chowder. This was made with chunks of potato, tomato, corn, green onion, and chopped clams. I love how rich and creamy it was. It was definitely a hearty and satisfying meal. To say the least, this was one of the best seafood experiences I've ever had.